Good day. What we're going to look at is how to create dashboards using the low-code generator tool. So we've gone and opened it. You'll remember in our previous project, we created an address book and an inventory project. So let's go to the address book just to demonstrate how we'll go about doing this. So we're going to activate the designer by selecting the designer. When it starts, it shows you the project that we're actually working on. So initially, the first thing that we want to do is to create a page. So you can create a couple of pages that you want for your particular project. So let's go to pages and select new. So our page is basically blank at this particular moment. And then it's going to take 100% and 100% of the width and stuff. But this doesn't apply yet because there's nothing. And this is the B4X code for it that we can copy into our B4X project. So we want to create a dashboard. For example, for our address book, we can show the number of the gender split in relation to males and females. We can show the first name distribution. Like for example, if we take the first character of a person's full name, and all sorts of other things. So we're going to add a couple of rows on this particular page. So let's add one row and add another row. And then what we're going to do, we want our dashboard to have, to take 12 spaces, but then 6 and 6. So it means that we need to have two columns, each column spanning 6 spaces each. So let's add that column 6 and column 6. Let's do that also for this column 6 and column 6. Yeah. And what we can do now is to take this and drag and drop and put it inside that row. And take this one again and put it inside that row. Inside that row. And then we have two columns inside that. So if we say identify, we'll see that that is there. It's spanning 6 spaces. And then identify this one. This one is also spanning 6 spaces, which is that one. So we take this one, we drag it and drop it there in that row, and also this one. So we have 2 rows, and each row has 2 columns, and each column spanning 6 spaces. So we want to create a dashboard. Usually a dashboard will have your charts and all sorts of things. So what we can do is to go to plugins, and then let's, for example, use a trend chart, and then maybe use a toast chart. So at this particular moment, these are placed anywhere on the page. But what we can do is to take this trend chart and put it in that particular column there. So that it's placed inside there. And then take the toast chart and then put it in this particular column here. So that they are on side by side. Remember, we said that this column is going to span a size of 6. So if you go to properties, there is 6 there. And then this 6 will be applicable to all the device configurations. Okay. And then the trend chart, for example, if we open properties for it, we can like change it to be something else. Like for example, this is a line. Let's perhaps change it to a bar and see how it will look like. There it is. So these are our values. And then our toast chart, we can also change it to a different chart. Let's change it to an area chart, for example. And then that is how it gets displayed. Let's change it to a line, for example. And then that is how it gets displayed, you know. So let's also add statistics, for example. So we go to the designer. Now we're going to add it on the second row because the second row is basically just under the first row, which is basically the. So what we need to do, if we, for example, we want to add an info card here, we can add it. Let's refresh our page. And then the info card is sitting inside there, but it's not supposed to be there. Let's just put it there. Let's put it on that row. Take this one and put it inside that column. There it is. So what we're doing now is drag and drop to design our user interface, So for example, we want to change this part one to be a different kind of a card. So let's go here and change it to type 6, for example, and then we'll say total contacts, which might basically be showing the total contacts that we have based on the number of contacts that we will count in our database. Yeah. So we can also add start items. So to add a start item, let me do this. I'm going to have to add another row. Let me duplicate this particular row here. Duplicate. Yeah. And then I'm going to make it active and then add 2 columns. Marking it active is just making sure that it's the selected component to add children to. So I'm going to mark this as active. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a start, but then the start itself is blank. So I can mark it active also. And then I'm going to add a couple of starts item, say 1, 2, and 3. So basically we have 3 starts items here. So currently we've demonstrated how to add a trend chart, how to create a toast chart, and then these are start items. So what we can do is to change the configuration of each of the start items. For example, this one is showing an icon. This one we might say show the number of tasks. So for example, go to properties and then you change the title there. You can say this is tasks. So let's say that the person has finished 20 out of 40 tasks, so we're going to remove that because we don't need it. And then let's make this to be a radial progress, for example. And then the percentage is 50 because they completed 20 or 40 tasks. And then we save it. So what is going to show there now is tasks 20 or 50 and then that. Let's change this one and make it something else. For example, we might say employee of the month. Okay, then employee of the month. And then what we can say here is October, for example. And then we change this to be an avatar. So it basically means that in relation to what is going to be shown here, we're going to show a picture or a face of a person. So there are a lot of variations that you can do. Just use this image here. So there are a lot of variations that you can do in relation to the stats item. Like you can make it an image, an avatar, you can make it a progress, and you can make it an icon. So you will be able then to see your generated HTML for this particular dashboard here. And then you'll be able to see your B4X code, which basically means that if you select copy here, then you can just copy that project into your, or this project code into your project, because everything is here. And remember, for both, for the charts, it basically means that you will just have to change these values at runtime so that they reflect whatever you want to reflect on. This is the chart information. clearing it and then adding a series and all sorts of other things. So the demo example code has all the charts in it discussed in the various code points that you can use. So you can also refer to that. So this is the code for generating all these charts that are here. So that is how you will develop charts for your particular projects. In relation to the other examples, what we're doing is to show you how to create a code project based on a standardized template. So what this does is to give you flexibility in terms of what kind of user interfaces you can create, and also in relation to dashboards reporting. For example, here, unfortunately here, there's some things that you can do, or another thing for the chart, what you can do. I saw something about another different type of a chart that was showing a radial bar, for example. There you go. So there are various kind of charts that you can do depending on what is it that you want. And also there's another chart type that I saw, which was a gauge. So we have a bar, we have a line, we have a gauge. For example, this is a gauge in relation to what you want to show. So yeah, so this is how you will develop your charts. For example, you can also decide that you want to move these to be up there and then move the charts down and things like that. But this was just showing you how you will do the designs of your charts, the designs of your stats items, info cards. For example, this one here is 5, and then you structure it. So, and then you can move stuff around in relation to creating the various dashboards. All right, okay, that's it for today.